we're back on Elephant in the Room with Bobby Cleveland. Hey, Bob, today I didn't ask for any guests. We could have had some guests, but we haven't really got to sit down and talk about the subject that we're talking about today. And guys, if y'all don't know, me and Bob talk all the time. So generally, we've had time to talk about what he thinks, what I think. We've got it back and forth, but we just hadn't had time to talk because we've been talking. He's trying to learn how to make pancakes, so we're trying to teach him how to make pancakes. So that's been our total conversation here lately. But anyways, Bob, we're going to talk today. What I wanted to visit about is Ryan Walters and all the hoopla and all the talk on Ryan Walters, and that he had nudity on his TV, and that now they're after him. They're asking for investigations. What's your thoughts? Just open it up. What's your thoughts on that? And then we'll get more into it.
Well, my thought on that is ridiculous. It's first of all, if a person's seen that on that TV, she should have went to him and asked him about it personally. Went up to him and asked him about it, or she should have went to HR. But to go put it into the press, get the press to get on it, and nobody else seen it but her and another guy. And what's JJ and what's interesting is both of those are two people that the judge that Stitt just appointed.
Well, Bob, for me, we're in a day and time, and hey, even before I got out, I've been a legislator for 10 years, and even as phones 10 years ago wasn't, we didn't use them as much as but hey, Bob, I even knew that, like, I'd go in there with the tag. If somebody had a car where I'm walking up and I didn't know who they were, I'd take a picture of that tag, you know what I'm saying? And then when I got somewhere else, I'd go run that tag, see who was there, I'd take pictures of people, see if somebody knew them, you know what I mean? Why in the world didn't they go up there and stop? Because I would have walked up there and said, what is this on this TV? Let's back it up. Because
let me tell you something. I bought a new car, and so I was trying to figure out how to work the car, turn the radio on, and I get to this deal with all the stations and everything, and then you know what pops up? This guy down on his knees with a nut to another guy, and I said, "What in the world?" And I flipped that off there. I took that car back to that deal, and I said, "I want that taken off. That's ridiculous." But someone get in here and see that, and the next thing you know, around the whole world say Bobby Cleveland's a homosexual.
Bob,
that was stupid. And so they tell me that same thing is on every car and everything that's around.
Bob, I on my phone the other day, so I'm kind of pre-diabetic. I need to lose about 10, 15 pounds. I never have a problem.
Probably a little more.
Well, no, about 15 would be max. 10 would be good, Bob. But here's the thing. If I lose 10 pounds, I had no problem with my diabetic stuff. If I get 10 pounds over, guess what? I start having problems. Now, I'm watching on the phone the other day, and it's Barbara O'Neill. She's an older lady saying she's got all the, stuff that she can cure diabetes. You'll never have a problem if you'll take some simple ingredient she's saying. Well, I click on there to see what she's talking about. Bob, it pops up. I mean, hardcore porn. And then for days, And what's funny, me and my wife.
You know what, JJ? I bet you Carla's been watching it.
Here's the deal. Me and my wife's on the same thing.
I know it.
On the same. She has my Facebook. We share Facebook. That's why, hey, guys, if y'all looking at my Facebook and all of those wreaths on there, I ain't winning a little light in the loafers. I'm not making wreaths. That's her wreath. I can't.
Good looking wreath she makes.
She does make some pretty good ones.
Don't change the subject real quick. You can get back on your subject, but at the cemetery, I bought several wreaths and put them out there, and I had people stop and ask me where I got my wreath. So they're very, very pretty wreaths.
Yeah, she does a good job, but we're on that same deal because I don't want her saying, "Oh, you're over here looking at whatever," and boy, she'll get mad. and that's what I blame it. Well, you probably punched something. I didn't do that. You probably did it. You know. But here's the deal, Bob. For 3 weeks or so, man, I mean hardcore porn pop up on your phone. You swipe it, you swipe it, you swipe it, and you get it off there, and then tomorrow it's back on. So again, yeah, I mean it's quite possible that somebody else put it on there. It's quite possible it just pops on there. So again, how are you going to prove that it's him? My understanding, it was on Fox News. And Bob, if you go in there and put it on Fox News and walk away, do you expect to see nudity on Fox News?
Not really.
Not my. I ain't never seen nudity on Fox News that I know of. So again, that's the question: is did these people really even see? And again, here's what's funny, Bob. What did they see? What is it exactly?
Well, you know, I could be wrong, but when I read the papers, I went back and read all the stuff on it. The guy never said he just said he's seen it, but he didn't say what it is. Well, she explained it to she seen what it was, and my gosh, she must have stood there in a little stage like it. She looks makes such a dynamic deal. But Judge A, let me tell you this. I remember on the house when there was a book in the library of 2 naked grade school boys, and they was trying to get that removed, and they were fighting them. The very people that wanted to have that two nude little boys in the library, the book, and anybody can see, same people are the ones now think that this is terrible that what's happened. Now, this sounds like to me, I wonder if it's like a planned deal, because they sure come out against it so fast.
Well, Bob, you know, here's what's funny. Me and Rob Standridge ran that bill that you're talking about.
Oh, you guys? Okay.
Yep. So Rob ran it in the Senate. Rob got it through. They would not allow us to present, like read stuff out of those books, and to present those books. You know, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, they said because it's too dirty. On the house floor.
They were saying this is too graphic for to announce on house. Now here's what's too graphic for adults to hear, but go ahead and leave it in the elementary school. And so, you know what I'm saying? Unbelievable. Rob got that passed through the Senate. I got him to agree to hear it on the floor. I got it.
I didn't hear the governor say one darn thing about that.
No, you ain't heard none of it. And here's the deal: I got it on the House floor. I mean, I went through committee and on that House floor, and you know what, Bob? I've got a fly around here. I'm gonna kill it. Somebody left my door open. But anyways, I got that on the House floor, and guess what? They would not hear. And here's what's funny, and you know this, Bob. If you got a bill to stop pornographic material in school libraries, things like Eye of the Rapist, graphically describing rape, graphically another book graphically describing human trafficking, trafficking women, raping women, all of that, sexual. Explicit pictures, the whole 9 yards, explicit. And guess what? Would not allow it to be heard, would not allow it to pass. And if that had got on the floor, Bob, do you think anybody would have voted against that? No, they ain't gonna vote against it. They're not gonna let their public know.
They want to see the graphic immoral things in the grade school. I mean, they didn't want to. That's exactly what happened.
Well, that's what's so shocking is these same people who are arguing this would not hear that bill, would not go out and hear that bill. And
that's
so
why I think this thing's the whole phony.
Yeah, I think they're phony. It's aggravating, Bob, to see. I mean, all of that. Here's what's funny, Bob. We're talking about something. Is this a law violation? Do you think that if Ryan Walters had a naked woman on his screen, is that a law violation?
No.
Here's the other thing.
Would you think if he did have it on the screen, would he leave it on the screen to show everybody that comes in his office?
Yeah, how ignorant would you have to be? But the thing about it is, Bob, first of all, you got to prove that Ryan Walters is the one who put that on there. Okay,
Right.
He's going to either have to have a device where he programmed that in there. They're going to have to catch that, or else it just came up on there, and who put it on there? Second, you got to prove that the content is obscene and that the content is obscene, so obscene that it requires action. Because Bob, if it's a fleeting, like you said, hey, you can't turn on a commercial. Bob, listen to me. Have you seen them AIDS commercials?
No, I guess I haven't.
Well, anyways, they've got some medicine that helps AIDS victims. I'm all for it. I had no problem on that. But every time they show it, they show two men kissing. And Bob, I don't care nothing about two. You know what I'm saying? Here's the deal. Humphrey's stance on homosexuality. Keep it in your house. Don't put your business out on the street. I don't put my business out on the street. Don't put your business out on the street. If you do put your business out on the street, then don't be upset because we talk about it. So here's the deal, Bob. I don't like to see two men kiss. It angers me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And yet,
well, I don't know why they had. I guess they had the chief, the sheriff, and somebody else look at it, and they didn't see anything. They couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I think what the deal was is it got kicked over to OMES, and OMES kicked it over to the sheriff. Which
wait a minute. They got to get to the OMES. Now, who is the OMES director? Who appointed him?
Stitt.
Oh, okay.
But now I will tell you this, Bob. I think the OSBI is kicking it to the sheriff. It's in Oklahoma County. I think the sheriff is probably the least political. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't appointed by Stitt. He doesn't have all the state political. He's county. And so I think he's probably the most uninfluenced person to investigate this. I think he's the right guy to investigate it. He's already come out and said they didn't find anything, but they're still investigating. That they didn't find anything on the devices, is my understanding.
My understanding is when you're trying to find something on the TV, it's not like on the computer. You can go back and pull it up. You can't do that on your TV.
Right. Well, Bob, they can get on. They can call that program if they know what channel that was on, and they can call for their programming. It's not that difficult to see what was on, and you can get, hey, send us a tape of whatever it was. They can send you a tape like that of the entire day's programming. So that's not going to be really that hard to do. So this investigation, unless he had devices that he remote put that in there on, or here's what's another question. Bob, everybody thinks an investigation is, well, we're investigating Ryan. This should not be an investigation. Here's the thing. I said I support an investigation. What I support is an investigation. And that is Ryan being investigated, or are we investigating how that got on that TV? That's what I want. I want an investigation. What was on the TV and who put it on the TV? Was it obscene? Was it improper? Was it something to rise to this level? Who put it on there? How did it get on there? Is Ryan responsible, or are these board members responsible? And if so, did they do it, or did they make false claims? So again, an investigation. When I say I support an investigation, I think we should quit saying we support an investigation into Ryan Walters. That makes it sound like Ryan Walters did something. What we should be requesting is an investigation into this report, into this allegation that there is something on that TV. Because again, Bob, you and I both know, like I said, I walk into my living room all the time, TV's running, nobody even in there watching it half the time. Walk in there and guess what? Some commercial with stuff that I would is absolutely inappropriate, stuff that I would say I have no desire to see. But again, you know what I'm saying? I could go over and get the channel changer and change it, and by that time it's already off. You know, I can get out a subscription to that channel, but golly, you're left with that'd leave you not very many channels, Bob. To watch if you got out of everything. I mean, tell me what channels don't have commercials anymore. You know, with
Well, JJ, I talked to a gentleman the other day, very very high up at the Capitol, very very high, and he says, "Well, that's going to be the end of Walters." I said, "Well, what if he didn't do it?" Well, he could run, but if they find it to be true, he can't run for governor. He can't run. Now,
Bob, I think that's been the whole goal the whole time.
So I got to wondering about his statement. And after we talked a little bit, he said, "Well, Bob, you're right. They haven't said he did it. We shouldn't start because they went after him that he did it just on her word, without any proof at all."
Well, Bob, one of the things that I really so Dick Lowe, which is a representative that I served with, was in that meeting. You know, and Dick Lowe's a good guy. I don't have any problem with Dick. I mean, he's fine. But I don't think he's a big fan of Walters. I don't know. Really hadn't talked to it, but just what I figured. But here's the deal. He made a statement to the press, and he said that he personally hadn't seen that. Now he's in the room, but he personally hadn't seen that. But he had no reason to doubt these two board members. Now, Bob, you said when you first started. I mean, when we first started, one of the first comments that you made in this was that those two board members was appointed by Stitt. And so again, Stitt got rid of two really, really good board members. I know one of them really well, and why he got rid of her. And I can tell you why I think he got rid of her, Bob, is because he couldn't control her. You know what I mean? And so I figure that's why he got rid of her. But
JJ, let me just don't break up here 1 second. If you cannot kill that fly, you've been after one fly now for 10 minutes. You need to just give up, son.
Son, I will tell you that fly is going to get it. And just so everybody knows, somebody left my door open the other day when I come in here. Lots of flies. I done killed all of them, but there's one pesky fly left. So if you see me going after him, that's what I'm doing.
Okay,
so
well, go ahead.
Don't let that, get you off. So the thing about it is, Bob, you said it. These are two people that Stitt just appointed, and it seems evident. It seems evident.
Okay, do you know how many board members they have exactly? That total number?
I don't know how many. I was thinking
like 2, 4, 6, either 6 or 8, I think. So,
I was thinking. Well, I was thinking it was an odd number, like 7 or something.
Well, it could be 7, but anyway, if it's 7 people, so that makes you having 5 people didn't see it.
Well, ain't it amazing? It's just the 2 that he just appointed. That seems a little. I don't know, Bob. Does that seem a little suspicious to you?
Yeah, it seems like so odd.
So
it's very odd.
Dick saying, "Well, I just trust these." Well, my first question would be, Dick, how well do you know these brand new people? Because I don't know them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know them. So how well do you know them? And he may know them super well. I don't know. But 1, do you know the people? 2, don't it seem just a little suspicious that it's the same 2 that seen this, that he just, now, when you're investigating, that's called a quinkydink. And we don't believe in quinkydinks, okay? We don't think those happen. So when you look at that, that's what you call a red flag. What I'm saying, that's what you look for is these types of red flags. And
well, JJ, you told me 100 times, Bob, you gotta make sure this is right. We can't do it on rumors. You gotta, have you sure? You got proof? No, this is what I was told. Well, we can't say anything about that just because someone told you something, and we go forward with it.
I 100%, Bob. You don't bring something of this type, scandal out, that you know, that you're going to make these accusations. When here's what's funny: if you'd have seen that, if I'd have seen that, and I was going to go out like that, then here's what I would have done. I'd walk right over to that TV. I'd have stopped that TV, and we'd replayed it. And again, we would, you know what I'm saying? We would make certain that they. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
They were the suspicions at is they did not go. They went to the press.
Well, Bob,
is the way I understand it. Now I could be wrong.
Well, imagine
they went to the press.
There's public people in that office. Okay, that this is an open meeting. All right. If nothing else, if just board members were in there, like you said, if there's 7 board members and then him and his staff or whoever, there's 10 or 12 people in the room, but you know that there's other people in that room. So again, why would you not go over there, stop that, and let everyone see? If 15 people would have seen this, guess what? Then there ain't nothing to argue about. You ain't got to call. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is something to argue about. Who put it on there?
Well, that is true. You would have, but you wouldn't be arguing about what was on there. Right now, Bob, we don't even know what was on there. You don't know.
What's so funny is you don't know what was on there, but yet she described it so well. You had to watch it for a while to see what she's seen, and this doesn't make any sense really. But to come out with the next day, I mean, that day all this stuff was found on his TV and back in his room, and I don't know exactly where the whole thing's at, but I guess maybe he has 2 or 3 TVs in there. Is that correct? You know,
I don't know. I just know one.
Would you pay attention and leave that fly alone?
I got the fly, Bob.
Okay,
I just got him. I nailed him. Hey, you got him. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Bob. Even what we're talking about, it's not criminal. If a naked woman showed up on the TV, again, you got to establish who put her there. Is that just programming? Did he put her there? So again, was she doing something obscene? Was she doing a commercial? What did it consist of? And again, I've never heard any of that. Just a nude woman, okay? And at least I can say it was a woman if they're accusing him. But Bob, at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. You do an investigation into how did that get there, who put it there, what was it. Fine, do an investigation on all that. But to act like it's just him, because I'm going to tell you, I got just as strong as suspicions that it was them. This looks like a setup deal all the way. Bob, when I was a probation,
they're not going to run that.
What's that?
They won't run that.
No, they're not going to investigate that. Bob, when I was a probation pro officer, I come into my computer one day. We always had people mad at us. We always had people upset with us. I come in there one day, and there is child porn on my computer. And I stopped everything. I called my supervisors. I said, hey, there's some stuff on this computer that is bad wrong, and we want an investigation. Now, what they told me was, I'll just delete it and don't worry about it. I said, no. I will not delete it, because what you're telling me is to destroy evidence of a crime. And finally, they did agree that I was right on that. So we called OSBI.
Now, wait a minute. If it's not against the law, how can it be a crime?
Well, on that one, it was child porn. Child porn is against the law. And so I got the OSBI cyber unit come down. They come down and told me, hey, we'll never be able to track this. They shoot it off this one, shoot it off that one. Said, we won't be able to track it, but you are right that it is good that you had it documented, that you showed it, that you were like, hey, this ain't mine. We want an investigation into it. And again, I did that. I wasn't going to have somebody come back later and say, oh, Humphrey's trying to look at, no, heck no. And
well, I would look at this a little different if she hadn't went to the press.
Yeah, if she had handled it correctly, yeah, it would be a whole lot different. But it's obviously a smear. And here's the other thing, Bob. Think about this. So the governor comes out and says, I believe the board members and this is going to be a scandal. It's just going to be bad if he is. Now, he didn't say he was guilty, but he said everything but, and he said, I believe the board members.
Yeah.
Now, why do you believe these board members over Ryan? What makes them so spectacular? And again, most of us don't even know who they are. But we're going to believe them because they're
Ryan's looking at announcing for governor.
Well, and hey, Bob, do you remember back before Mark McBride, termed out? He was trying to get investigation after investigation after investigation on Ryan Walters. And the last one, he wrote a letter trying to get a bunch of us on that letter. And it turned out, if I remember correctly, he signed some people's names on there that said, hey, you take my name off that. I never said that. I never signed that. That's a lie. Pull it off. And they said, they come out saying they'd had the names, but then they didn't have the names and they had to backtrack and backpedal a little bit. So again, trying to get an investigation on absolutely nothing. And guess what? McBride said in an interview, and I had that at one time, said in an interview, well, if he wasn't thinking about running for governor, we wouldn't be doing this. Openly said that to Channel 9. I'm pretty certain I'm correct. I want to always
I remember that.
I do remember that. And again, so he's admitting we're weaponizing his committee and his investigation. Now here's what's funny, Bob. This is what's funny to me. At the same time, he's trying to investigate and trying to get subpoenas on Ryan Walters, getting subpoenas, trying to write letters to all of us to investigate him. Well, guess what? I had turned in human rights violations that we had massive. We had their own employees writing that they would not participate in what DOC was wanting them to do because it was massive human rights violations. And they were forced, and they actually left and wrote reports saying this is wrong. I had those reports. They wouldn't investigate. I had rapes, and I had the psychologist, the doctor over all of these rapes provide emails, provide documents, witnesses, you name it. We had a whole book full of stuff. And guess what? We could not get subpoenas. We could not get an investigation. We brought kids being waterboarded. We had people report, whistleblowers report, kids being waterboarded at a mental health institution. They provided pictures of them kids being stomped, black eyes, one of them eye puffed out like this. Guess what? They would not investigate. We had documentation that DHS, the Oklahoma Juvenile Affairs, OJA, and OCCY all knew that kids were being molested at the Tulsa Detention Center. And guess what? It wasn't a question, did they? Because the feds raided that place, actually caught them. No, that is true. We had documentation to show that all these agencies knew that and covered it up, could not get them to investigate. We had reports of 2 other detention centers doing similar stuff, could not get an investigation.
Well, Representative, we had documentation of women being raped at the women's prison.
Yes.
Documented. A number of them. And they would not investigate that.
Would not even give us subpoenas. We had our own hearing, and I asked for subpoenas, and they said, well, call them over. I called them. I wrote them. I didn't just call them. I wrote them, said, hey, we need these people brought over here. They refused to even answer me. Now, get that. A state agency that I'm the chairman over that agency, and they won't even answer you back. You go and you say, hey, we need, we need subpoenas. Nope, can't have subpoenas. And then they come in and act the rudest you ever, still can't get anything. And that's think about this, Bob, and you're going to know this as good or maybe better than me. I like to call her old joyless Hofschister, the former state superintendent. Guys, her real name is Joy Hoffmeister. I can't even say it because I've said it the other way so many times. Her real name's Joy Hoffmeister. Okay. Joy gets arrested. She gets arrested for campaign violations, campaign finance violations. Her and the consultant, and that mysteriously just gets dismissed. Now, to my knowledge, the Capitol didn't do anything. She gets an epic investigation where they found $55 million inappropriately spent. And guess what? She's, to my knowledge, the Capitol, these same people never called for an investigation, never did anything. I mean, just kind of whitewashed it out. Now, here's what's funny, Bob. There is no way, and they accuse this other side of inappropriate handling money and stuff like that. There is no way that $55 million went out that it didn't come on. The state side had to prove that. You know what I'm saying, Bob? You can't get $55 million funneled over here if the state don't approve it. But guess what? We didn't see one single charge. They didn't investigate it. I turned in a whole packet. And I mean, you want to talk about proof that she illegally shut down a school. It was Swink. She illegally did it. She plotted to do it. She violated open records. I got the proof that she got a hold of them in advance, and it was all led another deal by that school. Got all the documents, all the witness statements, put it together, turned it over to the auditor, turned it over to the OSBI. I think I turned it over to the FBI. Guess what? Nothing. Turned that over to leadership. Nothing. Nothing at all. Bam. You know what I'm saying? And again,
you mentioned Mark McBride's name a while ago.
Yeah.
And I want to make it very clear. Mark McBride is a friend of mine. We've been friends for years. And so I don't even know what you was talking about now, but it wasn't good. But I like Mark McBride.
Well, here's the deal. I don't dislike Mark. You know, I mean, me and him just never G-hauled up there. I mean, I've tried to, get in with him, just never could. Me and him just never did quite G-haul. But I do have an issue with him, how he constantly went after Ryan, but he failed. He was the person when all of this stuff going on with Hoffmeister. And again, him and Hoffmeister just, you know what I'm saying, are super, super tight, super tight. And yet, what about all this stuff? Bob, I actually turned in a deal where she was using, no question, not maybe, she was using state equipment, state people.
I remember that.
State time.
That's wrong.
I mean, here's the deal. Had her dead banger. I had her dead banger.
Employees.
Oh,
working on her campaign.
I had her dead banger on all of that. Turned that into all of these people. And what did they do? Nothing. Now, here's what's funny, Bob. I was trying to look up earlier and see how many investigations that they did, that they called for on Ryan. And again, some of these I looked up and some of them I just did off memory. But they went after him on campaign financing. They wanted to investigate him on campaign. Joy got arrested on finance campaign deal, and they never said nothing about that. That's quiet.
That went quiet.
That went totally quiet. But boy, they went after O'Brien. All of these have been investigated, and they ain't touched him yet. Called for impeachment over bad language, inflammatory language, Bob. Okay, which again is just calling out against the woke. So again, if you speak out against the woke, you're inflammatory. You know what I mean? And DEI, if you speak against DEI and all that, you're inflammatory. So they wanted to have him investigated for that. They wanted to have him investigated because federal funds didn't come into the school appropriately. And again, was that on the federal or was that on them? They wanted him investigated on COVID money. And I think they did do an investigation on COVID money. And, they investigated him for being the Secretary of Education. Remember that he was
Yeah.
Secretary of Education while he was superintendent, and we know that was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I was, again, if Ryan does something wrong, I'm going to call it out. And again, but what did they do? I mean, you had the same thing going on with the Department of Transportation. There was another department. Can't remember if it's tourism or which one was, but anyways, they had that in 2 or 3 agencies, and so the state AG.
Tourism's been under a lot of investigations.
Well, Bobby ain't even been in. He's been in there 4 years, and they've ordered 6, or called for 6. They've done several, and then here we are again. They're calling for a 7th one that is not even criminal, and stuff that I'm talking about, like with Hoffmeister and using all that equipment, that's embezzlement.
I thought that the job of the OSBI was to investigate criminal activities. Now, if that's not criminal, it seems to me like they're out of their responsibility.
Well, Bob, it's funny because we sent that waterboarding and if kids being molested, and if you look at,
never really even look at it.
Yeah, if you look at the OSBI webpage, it says right there on the front. Now they may have taken it down now, but at the time I had copies. It says the way that an investigation is initiated is with one of the ways was a legislative committee with the majority of the committee requesting. Okay, I had a legislative committee. The majority of our committee requested. If you will look at what the OSBI was created for, again, it's corruption, but some of it was because of child pornography or child abuse cases and sexual abuse cases is some of the things. It says right on there. So 3 out of the 6 reasons they were created, guess what? We
Have they ever investigated what's going on in the Department of Corrections?
No, we called for investigations. And again, on these, we called directly. We sent it over directly to them. Here's the order. Here's the committee. No, we don't think you have the authority. Well, that's funny. Right on your front page, on your web page, it says we do. And then the House come in and said, we don't think you have the authority. I take it to a bunch of lawyers, and every lawyer I took it to said, yes, you do have the authority. So here we have them saying we don't, but all the lawyers say we do. And guess what? We're arguing, splitting hairs over whether who should order an investigation into kids being waterboarded, kids being molested, kids being abused, kids being illegally taken out of the home. And we're arguing who has the authority. Well, if I don't have it, then by damn, why don't the governor or one of them step up? Governor had all this. Every one of these leaders had all of this. The AG had all of it. Guess what? The OSBI had all of it. The state agencies had all of it. They could have requested it. All these.
Wasn't that one time you asked to stop investigating?
What's that?
Was it at one time were you not asked by somebody to stop investigating them? You're just wasting your time.
Yeah, I mean, we were told, hey, don't have this hearing, And again, I sent it back, said, hey, y'all had this for 60 days. We're going to go ahead and have the hearing.
Well, I would like for somebody to send in open records and have to how much money they spent on looking at whether Ryan Walters did do that. Not whether it was up there on the deal or not, but did he put it on his TV to get it up there?
Bob, one time I looked into some of the subpoenas that they were doing, and they were subpoenaing questions like how many people Ryan hired from out of state. What's that got to do with it? You know what I'm saying? I got people being raped. I got kids being abused. Can't do nothing, but we can subpoena Ryan. Oh, we can get all that investigation. Let's see how many people he brought from out of state. What's that got to do with the exit, price exit in China? So again, what we got to look at, one, who made the allegations? That looks sketchy. 2, what did they actually report? That looks sketchy. I mean, both those look really, really sketchy, okay? And then why was an investigation ordered so fastly. I mean, just boom, again. And OMES request Tommie Johnson. Why now are we saying no? We don't want Tommie Johnson. And I want to tell you, I like Vicki Behenna. She knows that. I love Vicki Behenna. But again, Vicki Behenna, the Oklahoma County DA, is one requesting the OSBI. Why would you not let your sheriff do it? He's a whole lot more objective. He's not controlled by the governor, and the governor seems to have his fingers all over this. So I would much prefer, and I will tell you this: I have confidence in Tommie Johnson. I know Tommie, and again, I just have a lot of confidence in Tommie Johnson, and I'm highly impressed with him. And again, you know, and I don't have anything against Greg Mashburn. I can tell you some things.
I like Greg Mashburn.
I like Greg. Okay, I don't have a problem with Greg. There's some questionable things that I could bring up that I have serious questions on. But at the end of the day, I don't dislike him. But you got to admit he was appointed by Governor Stitt. You got to admit he is a political person. And again, I would have real concerns there that would.
Jay, you know, almost everybody's a political person.
No, Bob, not everybody.
Are you a political person?
I wouldn't say I'm that political. Would you say I'm a political person?
Yeah. I'd say you're a political person.
I would
say also that you would rather if somebody's wrong, you would call them out if they're wrong. Even if it's I think you'd do that if your mother. If they're wrong, they're wrong. If they're right, they're right.
Well, Bob, what I would do is here's the thing. First of all, if I couldn't do a fair investigation, I'd recuse and step out of it. Second of all, and that's what I wish people would do, and so many don't because they're going to pull the clip. So first of all, if you're involved or you have ties, can't do a fair investigation, recuse. Second of all, let the evidence take you where the evidence takes you. You're not investigating Ryan Walters. You're investigating nudity on a TV in that office. You have no idea if Ryan put that on there. You have no idea who put that on there.
Well, so, I read there was a lot of people who had access to the TV.
Absolutely. So the first thing that they got it wrong, anybody doing this investigation got it wrong if you're saying we're investigating Ryan Walters. What you're investigating is how did that material get? First of all, was the material there? What is that report even true and accurate? Second of all, what was the material? And third, how did the material get on there? That's the investigation. Now, if you go in and find that Ryan did it, then guess what? The evidence leads you where it leads you. If it leads you to Ryan, okay. If it leads you to nothing, and I got a funny feeling you're going to get a big nothing burger out of this. Well, guess what? Then at that point, you start having to ask some other questions. Did these people intentionally make false reports? Did these people intentionally damage Ryan?
Now that's against the law.
Well, yeah,
they can be arrested.
Yes, that's against the law. And again, here's the deal. Now, if you find that Ryan did put improper material based on the material it is, if it's not illegal material, then guess what? He could be charged with no crime. Now, he could be impeached, and people are saying, well, he could be impeached and like he would just be fired. You don't just fire an elected official. He ain't just going to get fired. It's a whole impeachment process. If they were going to do that, they would have to have a special session, or they'd have to wait till session starts back in, and then they would have to take this up. They would have to have the votes. Bob, do you think they could get a vote for impeachment?
No.
Not with the evidence they have. The evidence they would have to have some pretty strong evidence. And I would just tell you, I wouldn't vote for impeachment unless they had some, fingerprint videotape showing that Ryan was responsible for putting inappropriate material on that TV. And I will just tell you guys, from the preliminary reports that I've got, I will be shocked. Now, you got to keep an open mind. And as I said, you let the evidence take you where the evidence takes you. But the problem, Bob, do you think that they're going to let that evidence take them? So again, if Ryan gets cleared, I'm going to predict they go, okay, nothing here. Let's go on. Now they're not going to come out, and the media is not going to come out and go, Ryan's cleared and he's justified. And he's, they won't do that. They'll just move on to the next story.
Well, JJ, did you see that Gene commercial?
I did see that. Everybody,
people were getting upset over that Gene commercial. That's a good-looking woman, boy. I'm telling you right now. But
she's okay, Bob.
But even though her dress, was not like you want to have your kids in there watching it, but she's nice. Well, I don't know what they're mad about because she's so good looking.
Well, Bob,
I'm changing the subject on you here, but
no, it's the same thing though, Bob. What is offensive now? The one I watched, she had a like a coat, like a jeans jacket, unbuttoned to right here. It is pretty risque, little risque by today's standards, not as much. But yeah, she had on jeans and she's attractive, and they're definitely highlighting her butt. There's no question. But is that offensive, Bob? Didn't offend me. I can tell you it didn't offend me. But here's what's funny, Bob. Go back and get commercials in the 1990s. I mean,
hey, I want to stop all this, but I want to ask this one last question. I'd like to finish up with it because I am thoroughly confused. The DA has written to David Fleener saying she was not going to do anything. He's there. I don't know what the wording was, but basically that he was not going to get out because of gossip. I don't think she said because of gossip, but I've read it somewhere where that gossip was going to have to go back on trial again.
Hey,
no
Bob,
way, shape, or form. Is that true or not true?
Bob, you changed gears totally on us, man. So, hey, for everybody listening, we got a case, Richard Glossop, where it went all the way to the Supreme Court. They found that they destroyed evidence. The DA destroyed evidence on purpose, key evidence, witness tampered by giving them, trying to get the witness, the key witness, to change their testimony. Did get them to change their testimony, wrote out what they wanted him to say. Now that got kicked out at the U.S. Supreme Court level, and it comes back. Now, me and Bob are working on a case, and the guy's name's David Fleener, and we have got all kinds of evidence to say that the medical examiner, 10,000% wrong. We have the jury was polled, and they said the reason they convicted him was on the medical examiner's testimony, which we now know is completely false. And now we have new evidence to show that the detectives and the investigator and the DAs withheld evidence, critical evidence to this. They knew facts that they didn't turn over, that they're required to turn over. We had all of that put together, worked with the Innocent Project, got that in front of the DA. We had real hopes that we would get to have that person out because, again, the evidence is 1,000% clear. And at the end of the day, the DA is refusing to hear the case. And again, where that puts us, I mean, we got to go back and see if the attorney can file, some kind of injunction, some kind of post-conviction relief is what they call it, and file that post-conviction relief based on new evidence and see if it can get before the court. That's the only thing that we can do. So we're still, we still got a fight in front of us. I think there's still a path to get that in front. But again, if not, then we need to go out and we need to put this in front of the public. Guys, this should be something. If we know an innocent man is sitting in prison and we have all the proof in the world, we have all the proof of the corrupt ways that district attorney before Behenna was corrupt and did these things. And we got people sitting in jail because of these corrupt practices. And we're not prosecuting these people who got caught destroying evidence, illegal, witness tampering, illegal, felony, perjury.
What was the name of that medical examiner that turned in a bunch of false medical examiners and they overturned a bunch of cases? What was her name?
You wouldn't ask me. I can remember that was.
Okay, I didn't ask you.
Uh, Man, I have to. I'm reading the book on it right now.
But Chief had turned in a bunch of false
Gilchrist.
reports, and people got
Her name's Gilchrist.
yeah, and people got out of prison because of that.
Chai Choi is the one in this one, and again, Chai Choi has been in several of them that I'm looking at. That there's a problem. Gilchrist caught red-handed changing DA, and again, these people are not prosecuted. Unbelievable. Hey, Bob, before we get off, I do want to ground back and go back to what we were talking about. Because here's the deal, guys. What I want to see is Ryan Walters' case looked into. This case, since they made it about Ryan Walters. But I do not want to see him. And again, the issue becomes you've got the governor, you got the Speaker of the House, you got the Senate Pro Tem, all immediately calling for investigations.
Before they even knew. I mean, all they knew was.
Oh, I mean, hey, exactly.
They owe him an apology for that to start with.
Well, no, you're right, Bob. I mean, I agree 1,000%. How did they come up with that when we have all of these issues? Bob, look at how many grand juries across the state. Look at down there at Pottawatomie County and Lincoln County. The DA called the AG, we need a multi-county grand jury. Grand jury request in Oklahoma City. Grand jury request in Grady. Grand jury request in Garfield. Grand jury request in Tulsa. Grand jury request in Wagner. Like I say, Pottawatomie and Lincoln grand jury request. 6 right there off the top of my head, and I know more are coming. And guess what? The AG, we don't have enough to investigate. All these, the governor, we don't have enough to investigate. Now, we're not even talking about what we presented over here on DOC. Not enough to investigate. Not enough to, mountains of proof, documents, everything, pictures. And yet, here's the deal. We can, that quick, these same people will call for an investigation in less than 1 day with what kind of evidence? With absolutely no evidence and not even knowing what it is they're calling. Investigate what?
If you ask, somebody said something.
Yeah, investigate what? Oh, we believe these two people, in their words, better than Ryan's.
Well, they'd locked him up. They would have locked him up in prison.
Oh, here's the deal. If you don't think, we've watched what they've done to Trump. We've watched them, do a witch hunt. We've watched them weaponize the court system, weaponize these investigations. If you don't think that can be done in a state level, and I will guarantee you, and here's the deal, if Ryan wants to run for governor, run for governor. But here's the deal, do not use your position as the chairman of one of these committees, use your position to have him investigated time and time, 7th investigation in 4 years. I mean, that's insane. And again, that shows you, and Bob, how many times they called for impeachment? 3 or 4 times on nothing without any evidence.
I'm going to differ with you there because we got so much corruption going on up there at the Capitol.
Yes.
It's not being investigated.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody agrees and say, yeah, that's wrong, but nothing happens.
Bob, I've turned in stuff on OMMA, and I mean mountains of stuff. I've turned in stuff on broadband. I've turned in stuff on, the insurance on the county jails and the insurance period on that. And then look at the insurance on cities. You want to talk about scandalous. All this stuff on DHS, all this stuff on OJA, all this stuff on OCC, all this stuff on DOC. And Bob, again, I mean, I can keep going. I got to stop looking at the fire marshals.
Well, some people say that you've done all this, just like you say all that, and you shouldn't be doing that. But wait, you've told me before. You said, Bob, I represent the people. I'm doing this for the people. I'm not doing it for JJ Humphrey. I'm doing it for the people. Now, is that right?
Well, Bob, it sure hadn't won me no popularity contest. Got me kicked out of chairmanship. I cannot get a bill passed right now. I mean, they come and told me, you'll get no bills passed. You'll get nothing else passed. I didn't do it for my health. And again, if you want to look at my donation sheet, but Bob, that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor, is to get a platform to bring corruption out. I've not been big on the bills. I've not paid a whole lot. I've worked on bills and I've done bills, but guess what, guys? Everybody's got their lane. You know what I'm saying? What they're good at. And mine is to find corruption and point out corruption. We found money in DLC, got raises that nobody knows about. Bob, me and you found $43 million. 40, I believe that was the biggest raise in the state history that we found. No new taxes, no new appropriation, right there in their budget. But here's what's funny, Bob. I don't know if you've ever thought about this. When we found that, guys, we went back 3 years and studied this, okay? And we found about 80 million a year that they were padding the books by claiming to have more employees than what they did. 80 million a year. Now we did that over 3 year, but on the 4th year we went in and got 43 million of that for a raise going forward. So it's not imaginary money. Now that means there's another 37 million. Where'd it go? But look, we found 3 years, $80 billion. Where's that? That's 240. Add to 37. Where's all this money going? And you know what we were told? Don't worry. We turned it over to Loft. What'd you hear? Nothing. We turned over the canteen where they took the guys down to Biloxi and winded down them, and lo and behold, come back and took $5 million of another contract, just stopped their contract, just like they did this food deal here recently, where they cut a guy, oh, we'll just do away with that contract. That contract don't mean anything, and we'll just give it over here to who we want. That don't look a little sketchy. Turned all that in, guess what? Nothing.
Well, it even looks sketchy now that nowadays you don't have to even get bids out. You just give it to whoever you want.
Bob, and here's what's funny, and I've showed that in OMMA, I caught a dead banger. Guess what? There's no bid, so nobody's catching it because there is no bid. They just give it to so and so, and whether it's a tech company, whether it's a lawyer, and they just turn around and give it. And that's not the process. You have to bid that stuff. And again, you see Shelley Zumwalt got caught for doing business with the company her husband worked for. Well, guess what? I turned in the same thing, and I got it on tape. Them talking about it with OMMA. Have you heard anything? I turned that over to State Auditor over a year ago, and we hadn't heard a thing. All kinds of stuff. 10 employees went in and give me all kinds of stuff. We ain't heard a thing. And again, it's the same thing. And then if you look at Shelley Zumwalt, guess what? I mean, they did millions of dollars worth of contract, and she's going to have to pay back $20,000. Bob, I'd say that's a good day if you do several million in contracts and get fined $20 million. That's not a bad day. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. $3 billion in broadband. And again, all of this going on. And what are we going to do? We ain't going to investigate none of that. Humphrey turn in mountains of proof, and we won't even look at it. We'll can Humphrey. We'll kick him off the committee. We won't let him have a bill. We'll shut him down. We'll call him a troublemaker, but we'll investigate Ryan because somebody saw something on TV they think was inappropriate. But they can't tell us what. And again, we can't find it on there. Doesn't seem like, according to the sheriff, I don't think it's on there. I'm going to be surprised if it's on there, Bob. And we'll keep an open mind. We're going to let it play out. But I'm going to be surprised if it's on there. And I'm going to be surprised that and now you started this, and you said you were talking to a friend of yours that said this is going to ruin Orion.
Yeah. I'm
going to say that if they find nothing, and all of these people weaponize this whole system to go after him, I'm not sure that it doesn't have the exact reverse. And people go, hey, you know what? They're trying to do him just like they tried. They're going to make him the Oklahoma Trump. And again, I'm not sure that it doesn't have the absolute reverse effect because they're going after him. Now, if you want to, there's things we can talk about that I disagree with Ryan on, but I disagree. Bob, me and you disagree quite a bit, sometimes over how to make
you got to admit, you're wrong on the issues, and I was right. And so
I can't remember any issue I've been wrong on and you've been right, but I'm sure there has been one or two, Bob.
We had some good conversations. I'll say that.
But here's the deal, Bob. Me and you can disagree. People would think we're going to throw rocks at each other, and guess what? No big deal. We can go right on, be friends, and you know what I'm saying. There's times on here we'll get back and forth. Oh, and that's why I want you on here. I don't want somebody that agrees with me all the time. I want people who will speak their mind, tell what they think. If we want to discuss some things Ryan Walters does, his last deal on lunches, making these schools pay for lunches, I have a real issue with that.
I figured you would because you're biased on that situation.
That's because I like to see kids get fed. You know what, Bob? I like to see kids get fed. And again, if they're wasting the money and he can show us where there's wasting money, okay, I'm open. But I got some questions on that. I don't like the fact that we fell 50th in the nation. I don't like that. But that happened. You know what I'm saying? If you'll remember, if y'all want to hold somebody accountable, you remember a guy saying he was going to put us in the top 10. We were going to go in the top 10 of everything. We're going to be top 10 education. That was one of the big. Guess what? We're not top 10. We're not even close to it.
He's going against how many years? 40 or 50 years?
Oh yeah. We didn't just wake up overnight and get this. So again, I've been in the legislature up here. I blame it on us just as much as I blame it on him. You can't blame it on him. Where were we sitting? You got all them guys over there pointing fingers. They've been in there 10 years. Went right with them 10 years. Again, hey, why don't y'all shut your mouth and do something about it? That's what I would say. Bob, we got to get off here. Been a great discussion. Go watch that ball game. The rest of you guys have a blessed Sunday. What's left of Sunday afternoon. And then I'm going to stay here and kill that fly, Bob. That's what I'm going to found one more.
All right, JJ. Well, thank you very much.